Today I recorded a repeating message and started transmitting it on shortwave. I give my name and location and ask any other survivors out there to reply back to me on the same frequency between the hours of 10 o'clock p.m. and 12 midnight Los Angeles time. My plan is to broadcast from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 9:30 at night, and then listen until maybe 1 a.m. Hardcore survivalist types would say that this is a recipe for disaster. They tell me that the strategy for survival is to stay indoors and hidden, because the only people out there who are willing to travel are looking to take other people's stuff and kill them. At this point, I'll take my chances. Being shot and robbed beats being eaten. I've been watching those things through binoculars. They don't get any closer to the house than about 100 feet or so, but they don't seem to just be wandering. Most of them take a few steps and then they stand out in the middle of the road, staring, like they're trying to remember something. Or maybe they're listening. Maybe they're waiting for someone to get really creeped out and do something crazy like jump out the front door, guns a-blazing and screaming, "You dirty bastards, come and get me!" Jesus. That. The alarm batteries must be running low. I should probably change them out with a fresh set. If I get really ambitious, maybe I'll start broadcasting the audio from these tapes. Maybe there's a place in the world where Flex hasn't happened yet. And people listen to this and think that this is like the War of the Worlds radio show. A joke. Yeah. That'd be funny.
IT support, this is Julie. So I looked at the procedure in the runbook for shutting down the server farm. You need to identify all processes currently running, terminate them in a very specific order, close all applications in a very specific order, and then power down the servers themselves, again, in a very specific order. Estimated time for this task, approximately 3 hours, 15 minutes. Frack that. I walked down the aisle and pulled the power cords out one at a time, all 94 of them. It was very freeing, and it only took about 10 minutes. With the servers powered off, I was able to shut down generator 2, but it'll come back online if generator 1 dies for some reason. That's helpful. I shut off all power to every floor of this building except for this one and the first floor, because that's where the comm and the main security desk are. And I shut off power to the annex. So, if my calculations are correct, I've always wanted to be able to say that, I just turned 2 weeks worth of gas into about 7 weeks worth of gas. Very cool. There's more of those things out there. There's probably going to be a lot more of those things out there in 7 weeks. I wonder if anyone's figured out a procedure for shutting them off.
Two of them are standing at the end of my driveway. A man and a woman, just standing there staring at the house. I noticed them this morning after I woke up, and they've been out there for over 3 hours now. I don't know what they want, but I'm not afraid. Maybe they have something to tell me. I was frightened after seeing the men in the park because all I saw was the violence. But now that I've made the choice to not be governed by fear, and I've done my best to truly think about it, I'm beginning to see something else. These people, whatever they are, they don't fight among themselves like we do. They don't see class distinctions. If they make more of their kind by biting us, then you could say that they found a way to reproduce without being slaves to all the ridiculous sexual and courtship rituals that most of our culture is based on. These new people, maybe they're the universe's attempt at giving us a purer form of ourselves. Maybe this is evolution.
It's been 3 days since I started broadcasting my message, and no one's replied. I found an old shortwave portable receiver in the garage, and I've been using it to surf up and down the band while the big rig stays tuned to my message frequency. There have got to be other survivors out there. Some of those people have shortwave radios. Some of those radios can transmit. I mean, they've got it. It's only been 3 days. I need to be patient. A lot of people probably didn't survive past the first 24 hours. The average person running into one of those things did what they thought was a good idea at the time. Locked themselves in the nearest broom closet or tool shed and wait for help to come. But help never came. And after 2 hours, or 10 hours, or a couple of days with no food, no water, and no toilet, they probably said to themselves, "It's been quiet. They're all gone. Let's open the door." Speaking of doors, I watched one of those things stare at my front door for 10 minutes. It just stood there. I know it sounds crazy, but it's as if he was starting to remember what the door was. And maybe he was thinking about turning the knob. An old girlfriend of mine used to joke about how dangerous cats would be if they had opposable thumbs. I don't even want to think about how more dangerous those things are if they even remembered 1/10 of what they had forgotten. Like how one person or thing may not be able to open a locked and deadbolted door, but 3 or 4 of those things can break down a locked and deadbolted door.
There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling.
5 of them came by the store today. They walked around the front of the building back and forth for about an hour or so, and then they just walked away.
We hid in a dark section of the store where we could watch them without being seen. They looked in the windows, but they didn't actually seem to see anything.
We recognized one of them. It was Mr. Thompson. He had blood smeared all over his shirt, and it looked as if a chunk was missing from the side of his neck.
Most of the ones we've seen are so badly mutilated that they shouldn't even be able to stand, let alone walk.
We have no idea why we've been spared. We have tried to live our lives as best we can towards God's commandments, but we weren't the only ones. This town was full of good people who truly loved God and cared about doing His will.
Mr. Thompson was one of those people. It looked as though he had been dragged to hell, and he crawled back out on his hands and knees, and It was as if something had taken his soul and left his body to wander the earth looking for it.
No one can know God's plan. We have to stay strong in our faith and remember that whatever happens, it happens according to His will.
There were dark clouds in the sky. It looks like rain's coming.
Maybe there'll be another flood to wash away the earth's transgressions. Maybe it'll cleanse the world of those things, and the rainbow will become the symbol of God's renewed promise.
Or maybe it just means another storm's coming. Forgive me, Lord.
The man and the woman are standing in my yard. I knew that they would be there. I know what they want. Am I brave enough to take the next step?
IT support, this is Julie. I went rummaging through people's cubicles today. Now, I know that may seem kind of unethical, but when you stop to think about it, archaeologists rummage through people's stuff all the time, and they get to write papers about it and get paid money to travel all over the world taking whatever they want out of people's homes, reading their personal letters, even ransacking whole temples. The idea seems to be that stuff belongs to people who are dead and therefore will never know that their stuff's been jacked. I rest my case. Okay, this is a LuxArt PH20, 190 lumens. Very cool. This is Jessica Payton's cell phone. She did a lot of sexting with Frank Hamilton in marketing. He's married. I always thought she was kind of a whore. A very cool multi-band radio. I'm gonna start listening to shortwave tonight. Maybe there's someone else out there. Okay, so there's a lot of other really cool stuff in here, but this is the Holy Grail. The HR Lost and Found box. And an ugly shoe. Some sort of squishy thing. It's not going to get any more interesting anytime soon. Oh, a pair of glasses. Okay, well these are pretty much useless. Another pair of glasses. These aren't bad. I could use these as a spare. Oh my God, these are Jimmy Doyle's. He's really nice. On my birthday, he brought me a piece of chocolate cake from the Common. He was the only one who remembered it was my birthday. One time we went up for pizza after work. He sat next to me.